From America's farm to fork capital and some of the richest farmland in the world, it's time for What's in Season with Michael Marks.
Oh my goodness, I just had a sugar rush. This Pixie mandarin is so sweet. I cannot wait to introduce you to the Pixie mandarin. Hi, I'm Michael Marks, and this is What's in Season with Michael Marks. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful April edition. You think of April and you think of what? Spring peas. Oh my goodness, they just come from everywhere. So we're going to talk about peas. Plus, Dr. Chelsea Azarkan is with us today. We're spring cleaning our cupboards. And we're getting out the bad, putting in the new. We're spring cleaning today with Dr. Chelsea. Mandy Bottoms is with us from Ag in the Classroom with a very, very cool experiment for kids. And of course, Chef Adam Peckel is with us. What's he going to cook? Of course, spring peas. It's going to be really good. So let's go ahead and get started. Spring peas. If I was Clint Eastwood, I would tell you right now, there are two types of peas in the world. And there are two types of peas. There are peas that have an edible pea pod, and there are peas that have an inedible pea pod. And you know the edible pea pods, right? There's green beans, snow peas, sugar snap peas. Those are peas that you can eat, the whole pod and everything, right? And then there are inedible pea pods, like the fava bean or the English pea. Now let's do a little science here for you and show you why they're inedible or edible. So an edible pea pod, their cell structure, if you were to look at it under a microscope, their cell structure goes like this. That's right. So it's nice and even, and you can eat it very nicely. But an inedible pea pod, the cell structure goes like this. It's all crosshatched, so you can't eat it. It's very tough, right? That's the difference between the two. So let's go ahead and get started with what an edible pea pod. One of my favorite, snow peas. Everybody loves snow peas, especially if you're doing some Asian cooking with snow peas. Chinese peas. When I used to sell produce to many Asian restaurants, of course, we would sell them 10 pounds. 10-pound boxes and a stack of boxes going into the restaurant because that was very, very important. And then there's the English pea. Now the English pea, there's a movie, Pollyanna. I don't know if you've ever seen Pollyanna, but I love Pollyanna, and there's a scene close to the front of the movie where Pollyanna and all the helpers at the house, they're all out back on a Sunday afternoon, and they're all shucking the peas. That's right, they're opening up those peas, and they're taking those little peas out. Manja tao. That's the French word for English peas. Manja, of course, you know manja means eat. Manja tao means eat it all. And that's what we've been telling our kids, right? Eat them all. So what if you cross a snow pea with an English pea? You come up with a sugar snap pea. And the guy who did that, Dr. Calvin Tamborn, when he was a little kid, he loved English peas. He loved those peas, but he couldn't hold them on his fork. And he said, when I grow older, I'm going to be a botanist. I'm going to create a pea that tastes as good as an English pea, and you can eat the whole thing. And that's exactly what he did. In 1969, in Twin Falls, Idaho, at his place called Magic Farms, he crossed English peas with snow peas. Took him 10 years to develop this pea right here, the sugar snap pea, which is just as sweet as an English pea, but you can eat the whole thing, and it stays on the fork, right? It's very, very good. Finally, in 1979, he released the very first seeds. He would be out there every spring. He would be out there with tweezers in his farm in Twin Falls, Idaho, and he would cross-pollinate with little tweezers going from blossom to blossom, cross-pollinating. I always thought he needs a Nobel Peace Prize because when us as parents or grandparents tell our kids to eat the peas, now they love these peas. In fact, he won so many awards in the produce industry for his sugar snap pea. And I was the very first to introduce the sugar snap pea at my wedding reception. Nobody had ever seen them before 34 years ago, and I had those sugar snap peas out, and they were the first things that were gone on the vegetable trays. People kept saying, "What are those? Those are just so good." And indeed they are. You can eat them fresh, you can cook with them, you can do anything. One of the other peas we're going to talk about really quick is fava beans. Not mava beans, but fava beans. Very Italian. Oh my goodness. Right now, this time of year, on the coast of Italy, all the restaurants are these old Italian men are out back behind the restaurant, and they're all shucking these fava beans. And I'll tell you what you're going to do with them. Chef Adam Peckel's going to tell us what to do with them as well. So coming up, stick around. I'm going to introduce the Pixie tangerine. Don't go away. Hey, maybe you've wanted to ask me a question about produce. Maybe you've wanted to ask Mandy Bottoms or Chef Adam or even Dr. Chelsea Azarkan. Well, we have an address for you. What's in season at cbs.com. It's very, very simple. Just go ahead and email us. We'd love to answer your questions. You know, Pixie is a mythical creature, right? Mythical creature, it's British folklore. And so I brought Pixie with me today. It's right here. It's an Ojai Pixie, Ojai Valley in Ventura County. This little Pixie tangerine started in 1927 with Dr. Frost from the University of California at Riverside. And he wanted to develop a tangerine, a mandarin that was late in season and was seedless. And he came up with this. He crossed a king which is a tangor. You've probably never heard of a tangor. Tangor is a cross between a tangerine and an orange. That's why we call it a tangor, right? So this king, he crossed that with a dancy. And those two things, the second generation was this Pixie tangerine. Oh my goodness, one of the sweetest. And look how beautiful it is. In California, there's about 70,000 farms and ranches producing more than 400 different commodities, right? And about 117 acres in Ojai Valley with about 20 farmers are dedicated to this Ojai Pixie tangerine. Oh my goodness, you better fall in love with it. It's so sweet and so good. You know, this time of year, of course, you have Easter and Passion Week, and you know, I thought it'd be fun. A couple fruits and vegetables that have to do with Passion Week. And you probably never thought of it. But like the passion fruit. Why do we call it passion fruit? That's because when there was a missionary that first saw this tree and saw the blossoms on this tree, the blossoms looked exactly like a crown of thorns worn by Christ, right? So that's why you call it passion fruit, the Passion Week, right? And then we have, of course, the cruciferous vegetables. You know all the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower. Well, cruciferous comes from a Latin word that means bear a cross. That's because the blossoms on these vegetables are in the shape of a cross. And that's why we call them cruciferous vegetables. And by the way, for springtime, I love these colorful cauliflowers. Somebody took a crayon to my cauliflower, and they come in all these wonderful colors, green and purple and orange. In fact, the green one is how it all started in Holland. Holland loves their fish, and they also love their cauliflower. But there's a culinary rule. You can't serve two white things on a plate. So the Holland people, the Dutch, they cross broccoli with cauliflower to come up with green cauliflower. Hey, coming up, Dr. Chelsea Azarkan, Mandy Bottoms, and Chef Adam Peckel. Don't go away. Well, springtime is the time we get in the garage, we get in our cupboards, we get in our closets, and we do a lot of spring cleaning. Dr. Chelsea Azarkan is with us today. I'm so excited because I asked you to talk about spring cleaning our food.
Yes, we're getting closer to summer, gonna be outside more, so it's a great time to get rid of all that junk from winter and make sure you're stocked with foods that fuel.
Okay, I like that. So how do we get started with that? There's a lot of stuff in our cupboards, a lot of stuff in our freezer and refrigerator.
You're right, and I have cleaned many pantries out. So my number one tip for cleaning out your pantry is to read ingredient labels.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's very important to know what you're putting into your body, but also there's a lot of things like granola bars or trail mix or even salad dressing that we think are good for us, but they actually have sneaky ingredients in them that could be not so great for our health. So when I'm looking at an ingredient label, I'm looking for, there's a couple rules of thumb I like to follow. So I want to see no more than 5 ingredients.
Okay.
Of those 5 ingredients, there's 5 things that I don't want to see. So we've got hydrogenated oils, and it usually says hydrogenated on the label. Seed oils, so any of those omega-6 oils we talked about in February. Sugar, enriched flour, or any ingredient I can't pronounce.
Oh, now that's muy importante.
Yes. So, and these are rules of thumb, right? So not everything that has more than 5 ingredients is going to be bad for you. Not even every ingredient you can't pronounce is going to be bad for you. But those rules of thumb help us avoid foods that have been heavily processed, maybe have a lot of chemicals added, and that way you don't have to have a chemical dictionary out with you when you're going through your pantry.
Okay, so you brought some ingredient lists with you.
We thought we could practice. So you can read me some of these ingredient labels and I'll tell you keep or toss.
Okay. Ingredients: whole grain oats, sugar, canola, and or sunflower. That's omega-6, I think.
And sugar. Remember, what was that? 2 ingredients. I like whole grain oats.
Yeah.
But we would toss that because of the other
Dark
ingredients.
chocolate pieces. Dark chocolate's not bad, is
Not
it?
bad, no.
Rice flour, brown sugar syrup, some more sugar in there, cocoa, salt, soy, lecithin, baking soda, natural flavoring, whatever that might be.
Yeah, so some things we're not as familiar with, some things we know right off the bat, a lot of seed oils, a lot of sugar, so that one we would toss.
Okay, this one looks like a salad dressing, looks like here. Soybean oil, water, vinegar, sugar, egg yolk, salt, buttermilk, modified food starch, monosodium glutamate, that one's not good, xanthan gum, whey, phosphoric acid, and you're getting out of...
How many of those words can you pronounce?
Very few, and I didn't do a very good job at it.
So that probably would make our salad a little less healthy.
Okay, and here's some salt, organic non-GMO popcorn, organic extra virgin coconut oil, Himalayan salt.
That would be great. So that is a good reminder for us that we don't want to just subtract things from our diet. We also want to add things to our diet. Popcorn's a good example of that.
Okay.
So if you think about some of the most commonly purchased snack foods in America, you've got your things like chips and crackers and pretzels. So I like popcorn. Dry roasted nuts is a great alternative. You can even, if you can't find chips that have been fried in a cleaner oil, you can actually make your own at home. Get some organic corn tortillas, bake into the oven. So that's a good swap.
Or the air fryer.
Or the air fryer,
right.
Yeah, love that.
And of course, you brought some dates with you.
So candy is actually one of the most commonly purchased snack foods in America.
Oops.
So my alternatives would be your dark chocolate and your dates. They're easy to grab and munch like you would candy, but they both have a lot of nutrients in them and they're a lot better for your blood sugar.
And you did bring some meats too, some dried meats.
I did, because we talked about, I think the second ingredient label you read was a granola bar. And so some of these things that we think we're grabbing to have protein and be healthy on the go, there's healthy alternatives. So we've got organic meat sticks, string cheese is a good one. You can even make your own homemade trail mix with the dark chocolate and the dry roasted nuts. So you want to be reaching for things also from nature and not just from a package.
I love it. Dr. Chelsea, as always, thank you for helping us spring clean our kitchen and our cupboards. Hey, coming up, don't go away. We have more on What's in Season. All right, kids, get out your magnifying glass. We're going to be dissecting some seeds. By the way, kids, if you have a question for Mandy Bottoms, What's in Season at cbs.com, you can ask Mandy anything you want. Let's talk to Mandy. You've got a magnifying glass and you've got a little pair of tweezers.
We are doing some science in the kitchen today.
I love the
which
science.
Makes it extra fun. You were talking earlier about peas and beans, and we can actually dissect peas and beans, because those are both examples of seeds that we eat.
Yes, they are.
So
yes.
This is from one of our Ag in the Classroom lessons about looking inside plant parts, and it's all about seeds. So we actually have some lima beans here. I love lima beans because you can buy them year round. You don't have to wait for the seed packets to show up in the spring. You can buy them at the grocery store. Lima beans are seeds, so that's all you need for this. I soaked mine in some paper towel overnight, and so you can see they look a little bit fatter, a little bit
Yes, they do.
wrinklier, and so that's what you'll want to do because it softens the seed coat, which helps protect the seed, and we can open it up afterwards. So these are for fun. Kids might enjoy using them, or you might enjoy using them. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the lima bean and you're going to peel, that one's a little tight still, peel off the seed coat, and that's a protective covering. It looks kind of like paper once you peel it off. It's thin.
Oh, very cool.
But it's protecting the embryo, which is the baby plant that's inside the seed. So that's the first thing you're going to do. So your child can look at that. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to, so beans are examples of dicotyledons. So they have two
Hold on,
leaves.
that's like a
big
10-syllable word there.
Yeah, two. Cotyledon is
Okay.
a leaf.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
a first leaf is what they call it. And so when you watch these plants grow, you actually see they first pop into, like, the seed will split in half. And that's why it's so easy to cut it in half too. So there's dicots, which are things like beans, peas, even things like almonds, but then there's also monocots. Those are things like corn. They come up with one leaf first. So that's kind of that's your science for the day. So inside you can see actually the embryo, which will become the seed. I'm sorry, the plant. And,
Oh, yes.
and this will become the radical or the root. So
Oh, yes, you
all
can
of those
easily
parts.
see it.
And these are the two cotyledons, and they provide the seeds or the plant's first food. So it's actually the food that the plant will use to grow.
So can kids grow these?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And so you don't even need soil to grow them. I brought just a jar with some paper towel around the edges. And if you soak it overnight, you can put it just down the side of the jar. Put a couple of them down. I like soaking it because it gives them a really quick response time. It cuts it in half.
Germinating time.
Germinating goes way down. And then you just put some water in so that the paper towel
Oh.
can start to wick it up. And then you put this in a window and you'll actually start to see the roots come out and the first leaves come out too. And so it'll grow just like that. So that's an easy experiment. Don't
Is it
need
like
soil. Doesn't make a
21 days
mess.
to germinate for those things?
Not
or
even. A
not
lot
e-
shorter than that. I
Really?
say a week. We'll
Oh,
start
how
to see
cool is
stuff
that? What a
happening.
great
Yeah.
experiment for kids. And they can write down all of their observations. So tell us a little bit about Ag in the Classroom. You guys do so much.
We do. Our job is to make it really easy for teachers and parents to help their kids learn about agriculture, and we do that by developing resources for teachers, materials like this activity came from one of our lesson plans. We have conferences, programs for teachers too. We're at learnaboutag.org.
All right. And if you have a question for Mandy Bottoms for your kids, what's in season at cbs.com. Don't go away. Chef Adam Peckle's coming up a little bit later. I've opened up all these fava beans, got the pod, and getting all the beans out. Chef is already putting me to work. So we take all of these beans, put them in a deli. And Chef Adam Peckle is with us today. What are you cooking up for us, especially these fava beans?
Well, spring has sprung, and all us chefs at that beginning of the season change, we just love it. And when you see the peas and the fava beans, that's when you know spring is here. And we always get excited about that new stuff.
By the way, peas and fava beans, they're very, very good. They're loaded with vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, folate, potassium. You name a mineral and a vitamin, they're in it. And it also detoxes our body.
Yeah.
So all winter long, you know, we've been comfort food, and now our livers and our body need a little detoxing. That's what's so good about these peas.
Well, and the best way to kind of keep all that nutrition in those vegetables is to quickly blanch them.
Okay.
And what we're doing right here is we're using some really nice hot boiling, very boiling water, heavily salted, salty like the sea. I've already got salt in there, and I'm gonna even add more. Salty like the sea. You don't taste the water, like that doesn't taste good, but the green vegetables really, really want it. And it's gonna be a fast thing, and we're gonna start with these fava beans. So you've shelled the favas, they're going in maybe a minute, because we don't wanna overcook them. We wanna get them in there, we wanna get them just cooked to the perfect, a little bit of crunch in there, but cooked through. And then we're gonna shock them in that ice water. And then we're gonna show how to take those fava beans to the next step, because they're still not ready yet.
Gonna put me to work again?
Of course.
Okay.
That's what we do
So while
here.
that's cooking, what do you got here?
So
Beautiful.
now, so we've just got a nice salad. Again, I've blanched these already. We've got some of those awesome, the snap peas. We've got some English peas. I've got a little bit of arugula
We
in there.
gotta say English with a little English accent. Little
Little English peas.
Yeah,
English
peas.
Well, I don't know. The English like to make their peas mushy, and we're definitely not doing that here. So, And yeah, and some sunflower sprouts, which again, just light, bright, fresh, all those nutrients. And here we are. These things are already done. You definitely don't want to overcook these guys. And we go right in and immediately stop the cooking. And what that's going to do, it's going to lock in those nutrients and that color, that bright green color. You see, again, I've blanched all these, and look how vibrant those are. So here we go. Let's get these over onto your board.
All right.
And these are the hardest thing to do in the kitchen. Chefs kind of hate these things because it's a lot of work. Because now we've taken them out of this big one, and now we've got to open up their little shell, and you just squeeze it out of there, and you get that bright little bean. Yep.
Am I doing okay?
So a little nail snap, and then squeeze it. Oh, there, just like that. Try to keep it in your hand though.
Okay.
And yep, just push it right out, and then we can throw them into our salad.
Most people have never had a fava bean.
They're hard to come by, and you're going to get it from chefs at restaurants, and they're such a delight. And so let's put this dish together. I've got a little bit of farmer's cheese, made smooth with a little bit of yogurt and some dill and green onion. And you can have this as like a nice light little lunch, maybe a dinner if you wanted to just have something really nice and light.
This is when chef becomes an artist.
And again, all the vegetables just doing the work.
Do I see arugula in there?
There's a little bit of arugula for
Rocket
a little bit
lettuce,
of bite.
okay.
I did a little bit of Meyer lemon in there. And then if you wanted to go even a step further and make yourself a nice little entree, put a little piece of salmon on there.
Oh.
A little Meyer lemon on top maybe. And I mean, that's springtime on a plate if you ask me.
Oh my goodness. And the onions, what do you do with these onions?
I just add a little bit of pickled onion for a little snap into the salad. I mean, we can't have just nothing but green. We got to get a little bit of other colors in there. But this is just one of my favorite dishes right here.
All right. Did your grandma ever tell you eat your peas?
You know, she probably did.
Okay.
And they were not that great.
Probably out of a can.
She didn't blanch them.
All right. Well, eat your peas, especially
right.
the springtime. Eat your peas. Hey, thanks so much for joining us, Chef Adam Peckle. Thank you for
My
always
pleasure.
being with us.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
Yeah, I'm
and again,
hungry.
maybe you have a question for Chef Adam Peckle. What's
I'm
in
here to
season
answer.
at CBS.com. Hey, thanks for joining us. Tell all of your friends about it, and we'll see you next month.